Hey everybody! I didn't mean to be this late. Hope everything's alright. If anybody's willing to sound off that they can see me and hear me, that would be much appreciated. I apologize again for the delay. Ran a little bit overtime on a tour. That can happen sometimes. It's really just because we love you guys so much and we don't want to say goodbye. So, today we will be covering the East Village neighborhood as well as Little Ukraine. So, let me get this camera switched around. Beautiful.
Exactly like.
So, starting in a bit of a difficult spot. Well, not difficult, different spot than you normally would for this tour. We are at the corner of 1st Avenue and 11th Street. And we start right here at a beautiful new piece of artwork by a woman named @Ellie Street Art. You can actually see down there if you'd like to follow her yourself, everyone. Hello, Martin J. Kelly from Bowen Island, British Columbia. Hello to you too, Carolyn Motelli. If I said your name wrong, it's because I didn't hear it. I only read it. Right here we have a great piece of artwork by Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Now, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was the second woman appointed to the Supreme Court of the United States of America, appointed by President Bill Clinton way back, I think 1993 she was appointed. Now, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a big advocate for women's rights. Hello to you too, Holland. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg sadly passed away November of 2020. Very sad end to what was already a very sad year. So this artwork was put up here in her honor. Hello from the Netherlands. Welcome to New Netherland, Old Netherlands. Now let's get across the street because we got another piece of artwork over here. You know what? As I looked at it through the camera, I realized I got to get you up close. Can't do this one from across the street. You know, if anybody says that this is bad, they can beat it. This invincible piece of artwork is never coming off the wall. This is it, everybody. It's the Michael Jackson artwork by the Brazilian artist Cobra. Now, everyone, the Brazilian artist Cobra, these are his words, not mine. He wanted to showcase the diversity of Michael Jackson, both his black side and his white side. Of course, Michael Jackson suffered from a condition known as vitiligo, which changed the pigment of his skin, causing him to become a very light white in color. And we got some basketball going on across the street. Silk Kaiser, I would love for you to join us on a tour with free tours by foot. Michael Jackson also suffered from a condition known as lupus, which required steroid injections into his face, which of course would change the shape of the gentleman's face over time. Michael Jackson passed away in the summer of 2009. This artwork was dedicated to him back in 2018. Now, I want to move quickly to get us back where we were. Don't want to get stuck on the corner on these streets. Okay. So back on 1st Avenue. Now, hello Israel. Can't wait for you to come take a tour with us with free tours by foot. Now, you may notice 1st Avenue. Can you see it right up there? Definitely you can't see it. 1st Avenue. And yet, of course, if you go further east, there's more to see. So, what's going on here, everybody? The Commissioner's Plan, also known as the Grid Plan, laid out in 1811. That is when New York City becomes easy for tourists. 1st Street, 2nd Street, 3rd Street, 4th Street. Well, also 1st Avenue, 2nd Avenue, 3rd Avenue, and even a 4th Avenue. Hard to find, though. That's the Grid Plan. And if you ever look at a map of Manhattan, you'll notice that Manhattan has what I call that little hip on the side. Kind of looks like a lady shooting her hip out, doing a dance or something. And that part of Manhattan has 4 additional avenues. Avenues A, B, C, and D. Those avenues are only going to go from Housden Street, that's about 10 blocks south of us, all the way up to 14th, 15th, or 16th Street. And so we didn't want to name those avenues 1st Avenue, 2nd Avenue, 3rd Avenue, and 4th Avenue. We wanted the avenues that were numbered, since most of the scheme was based around numbers, to be the ones that would stretch across all of Manhattan. Folks, I'm having a little bit of difficulty with my gimbal. I apologize for the shakiness of this camera. Trying to keep it as steady as possible. But I will make certain when we get to a stop to get the camera in a good position to hold it as steady as possible. Now, as we make our way to St. Mark's Church, getting more into the Ukrainian part of the neighborhood, I'd like to point out that Free Tours by Foot is a global company. This global company, you can take tours with us in London. You can take tours with us in New York, obviously, hopefully with me, but all of our guides are great. You can also take tours with us in Boston, New Orleans, and many other locations. You'll probably get a link to that down below to sign up for a tour with us. Now, of course, when you want to take a tour with Free Tours by Foot, you got to make sure you book that flight first, everybody. Book that flight. Book your next vacation to New York City or any one of our other locations, and the next thing you do, don't even wait to book the hotel first. Book your tour with Free Tours by Foot, because we are coming in hot. New York City and many other locations are now open, ready for business. There are no mandates left in New York City, no masks, no vaccines required. All are welcome. And it's a great time to come back and visit. We are selling out all of our spots, so please make sure you book that tour with Free Tours by Foot. Today's tour that I did, one of the reasons I was unfortunately a little bit late for you guys, was the East Village Food Tour, which you're going to see quite a bit of that on today's live stream. East Village Food Tour is a great thing to do in place of lunch. You get history, and you get food, and the East Village Food Tour is going to get you at a Ukrainian Kitchen, pierogies, as well as cabbage rolls, beer from Morleys Ale House, the oldest ale house in New York City, 168 years old, and it's also going to get you pizza at Tony's Pizza, B&H Dairy, dumplings at a hit new spot called Brooklyn Dumpling, and then we finish at Viniero's Bakery, which was actually right below the Ruth Bader Ginsburg artwork that we just saw. And as we reach the corner, we have a stunning view of St. Mark's Church. Now, camera is a little bit shaky today. Let me hold it steady just like that. St. Mark's Church is the second oldest church in New York City. They often go by the fact that they are the oldest in continuous use. And that's true. That's because St. Paul's Chapel, which is 1766, the building you're looking at now being 1799, St. Paul's Chapel briefly stopped operating as a house of worship, which would make this one the oldest in continuous use. You can decide for yourself which title matters more. Looking across the street, we've got the Village East by Angelique. The Village East is an old Yiddish theater. It's actually said that although Charlie Chaplin never performed there, Charlie Chaplin did attend many performances at this location. You can spot it with the white board and the black lettering across the street. Now, the Village East is a lot of fun because, yeah, you'll get all of your modern movies, but also any movie that's played on a film projector, you can actually watch it played on film over there, and they have classic movies all the time. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde coming out, The Room, a movie famous for being so bad it's good. Let's see, Musical Mondays, and they often have a playing of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Lovely neoclassical architecture on the inside, definitely worth checking out. Now, folks, I'm going to hold this as steady as possible. I'm going to take you down one block. Actually, let's make sure that we keep our view on St. Mark's Church as we walk by. Another thing to do if you come out to New York, booking your tour with Free Tours by Foot, we obviously have great food tours. The Greenwich Village Food Tour, the Lower East Side Food Tour, East Village Food Tour, which is the one you're getting a little bit of an exploration of today. I mentioned Greenwich Village Food Tour, and one of my favorites, the Chinatown Nolita Little Italy Food Tour. So much to do, so much to eat here in New York City. Now, getting a little impulse, I'm going to cross this street and get you up close because I want to see PeterStuyvesants Tomb today. Okay. Guys, I promise you. Ooh, we got the Williamsburg food tour coming back with legendary Derek. That's the best news I've heard all day. Thank you for chiming in, Mr. or Mrs. Moderator. Now, what we have right over there is a little bust of Peter Stuyvesant, and down below is the burial place of Mr. Peter Stuyvesant. Hey, Adam. Now, Peter Stuyvesant was the man who was sent to be put in charge of Dutch New Amsterdam. Peter Stuyvesant came into Dutch New Amsterdam, sent in by the heads of the Netherlands, King and Queen of the Netherlands, I should say. Brooklyn Bridge indeed, Adam. And he was sent to whip the colony back into shape. You see, New Amsterdam, which is what the New York City we're on right now was once called back in the 1600s, New Amsterdam, hello, Old Netherlands, welcome to New Netherlands, had one bar for every 20 Dutch colonists. Very much a party town. Good idea of what it was going to turn into anyway. Peter Stuyvesant was sent in to whip the colony back into shape. Hey Adam, no word on a Bronx tour, sorry. Staten Island, I don't think so either. But we'll see about that. We're glad that you're in the comments. We might work that in. And Peter Stuyvesant was sent in to whip the colony back into shape. This man had 3 new rules. Rule number 1. You must stop fornicating with the Indians. Rule number 2. You must attend church every Sunday. Yes, I will check your house. And rule number 3. There will be no more drinking on Sundays. You have to stop drinking yourselves to death. Some people would call Peg Leg Pete a party pooper. But he whipped the colony back into shape. However, when the British invaded, Peter Stuyvesant had no choice but to surrender. He negotiated a deal that allowed all those that were Dutch in New Amsterdam to remain in what would become British New York, named after the Duke of York, the brother of the current king. Peter Stuyvesant was rejected in the Netherlands, and everything that you see on today's tour was Peter Stuyvesant's farmland at one point in time. That's the whole reason we're pointing him out. That was his tomb. That's where he's buried. This was the first piece of land that his family sold, actually. This church right here. Hey, Adam. And this portion right here is known as Abe Liebewall Square. I'm so sorry. And that's also dedicated to Abe Liebewall. Abe Liebewall we're going to learn about in just a little bit. And it actually connects, thank you, Adam, the Chase Bank that we're walking towards right now. Now you might be thinking, okay, what's this tour guide talking about? A Chase Bank? Can't possibly be a part of a tour. Well, a lot of times, an old piece of New York City's history gets converted into something modern and something that's corporate, if you will. The Chase Bank that you see across the street used to be the 2nd Avenue Deli. Oh. A little bit of an issue there, everybody. Yep, got to do it by hand, folks. I apologize for that. Adam seems to be having a good time, so I'm not worried about the shakiness, but when we get to the stop, I will hold it steady for you. Chase Bank, across the street, used to be the 2nd Avenue Deli. Now, we just learned about a gentleman named Abe Liebewall, and as you can expect, Abe Liebewall ran the 2nd Avenue Deli. Ooh, look at that. Nirma even likes my camera. Thank you, Nirma. And I apologize if I ever say your name wrong, anybody. But 2nd Avenue Deli was one of the classic delis and the likes of the Carnegie Deli, Katz's Delicatessen, and Eisenberg's. Katz's being the only one we have left. Now, I'll speak loudly here because of the truck. These are the stars of Yiddish Broadway. Ludwig Sachs Oyster. Let's get a different name. Daniel Liebskin. These were put here by Abe Liebewall at his 2nd Avenue Deli, which is what became the Chase Bank. Gianna, no reason why you can't come back this year as well. New York City's the city that welcomes you every single year of your life because there's always something new. So, G, I hope you come out for us again. We can't wait to see you at Free Tours by Foot. And we've already talked about our food tours. I'd love to recommend to you, actually, any one of our Harlem tours. There's a good chance you'll learn all about Harlem, gospel, and soul music, especially if you take a tour with Lady Alto Vice, but it's good with every single guide that you take it with. Now, the tour that was promised to you was, of course, Little Ukraine. Little Ukraine is a section of the East Village. East Village, you could call it the East Village, Little Ukraine, and Alphabet City. And Alphabet City and Little Ukraine are basically subsections of the East Village, much like the West Village is a subsection of Greenwich Village. Ooh, and I should explain that to you. So we're in the East Village, and west of the East Village is Greenwich Village, which includes the West Village, which is a part of Greenwich Village. So Greenwich and West Village are kind of the same thing. East Village is a completely separate neighborhood. Our first piece of Ukrainian history. Beautiful Veselkas, still run by the family to this day. And it's funny because, Nirma, you just mentioned that it's the city that never sleeps. Veselkas was once a location that never sleeps. We'll take a look at their hours of business over here. 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays, they're open until midnight. This one stays open pretty late. And it's definitely a great deli, diner location to go to. You can get all sorts of Ukrainian food. Give us wings, let Ukrainians fly. No comment on that, everybody, but you can see these posters dedicated to what's happening. This is a great location to come back to. Folks, we're talking borscht, pierogies, cabbage rolls, and so much more. This is a great location to come to, and you may very well get a chance to speak to someone and talk about what's going on. Ukrainian National Home, Ukrainian East Village Restaurant. You know what? I'll skip the story today, but if you take my East Village food tour, ask John about his personal experience going here. I have a silly story to tell you. Not going to say that one online, though. But that's a great location to go to. They have more traditional fare. You can get like your steak and potatoes at that location, but they also have all of the fancier Ukrainian options, such as the borscht that we mentioned earlier. Borscht is pretty much just going to be a staple with anything at a Ukrainian spot. Now, I think it's coming through quite clear. You can see Stomp at the Orpheum, dead ahead. Stomp is, of course, one of the most popular shows in New York City, and Stomp is actually one of my earliest introductions to New York City and to theater, and may very well have shaped my desire to become an actor. I saw this show way back in grade school. I can tell you for certain this goes back to the 90s, perhaps even older. Stomp is a musical that makes fun out of everything that you can make music with in New York City, whether that be one of those orange cones you see there, a broom, a trash can, a sewer grate, a shattered light bulb, a broken bottle. They turn it into music, and you'll have an experience like nothing else. It's also right next door to Tony's Pizza, which is one of the locations we go to on our East Village food tour. What is a native food of New York? Well, what a great time to ask that question. I guess I'll tell you about the egg cream, because we're right near B&H Dairy. Now, the egg cream, you'll find a whole bunch of different explanations for why it's called an egg cream, which is funny because it does not contain egg and it does not contain cream. But it does have an eggshell color if you get the vanilla variety, so that might have something to do with it. Of course, you might prefer the chocolate syrup variety. Today, my guests told me they preferred the vanilla variety, so something to keep in mind. But B&H Dairy serves that egg cream. They've been around for about 80 years. Now, here's a really New York story about B&H Dairy. It was opened, of course, by a kosher family, Jewish family, but today it is actually run by a Catholic woman and her Muslim husband. Now, what are the odds of something like that happening? I guess you can say only in New York. Now, another sad story, everybody. And yes, it's got its connection to 2020. The 2nd Avenue Church. Around Christmas Day of 2020, there was an electrical fire in the building next door, and the 2nd Avenue Church burnt to the ground with only its steeple still remaining. They were able to raise several $100,000 on GoFundMe, and then the mayor, former mayor Bill de Blasio, we shall see if Eric Adams is able to pull through on the promise. You never really know what's going to happen, folks, with the promise of money. Unfortunately, pitched about $2 million. They will need quite a bit more to get the church up and running. It remains to be seen if we will get our 2nd Avenue Church back again. Nirma, I'm sure you enjoyed St. Patrick's Cathedral on your vacation. I hope you don't think that that was St. Pat's. That's a different church. That one burnt down. So, I have excellent news. Was mentioned earlier is that our guide Derek is bringing back the amazing Williamsburg food tour. It's actually been so long since I've taken that one, I actually forget what was on it. You know, some of our tours, they took a little while to come back, you know, because of the pandemic. We wanted to stick to the ones that were a bit more accessible. But this one, you get to take the ferry to get out to Williamsburg. You could take the subway if you prefer. And you get, first of all, one of the best guides with the company. I mean, anytime with Derek is just going to be a great time. But you also get all of the delicious food. Maybe Mr. or Mrs. Moderator in the comments can let us know what those dishes are. Although there's a possibility that's still being worked out, and maybe I've made a mistake by mentioning it. Whoopsie daisy. But here's another thing I'd like to point out to you guys, and I'm going to give this gentleman space to get around me, so I'll pause for a second. Okay, so something to notice about the East Village right now, and we're not done with Ukraine, everybody, we're not done. Something to notice about the East Village right now, other than the Chase Bank, on this tour, have you guys seen anything corporate? Walgreens, McDonald's, Burger King, Wells Fargo, anything like that? No, I don't think so. That's because East Village really maintains a lot of its history and its uniqueness. It's not a corporate place. It's a very New York part of New York, and that's what I love about it. Now, I'm stopping here at Moons Falafel. Gianna, you are the sweetest. God bless you. I appreciate hearing that. Now, Moons Falafel is a location. Derek's in the works. My bad. Moons Falafel is a location that is actually, we pass it on the East Village food tour. A little bit of a tease because I can't take you inside. That's because we actually include it on the Greenwich Village food tour. You may very well take that with Lori or perhaps Cassie, two of the best guides with our company, by the way. And Moons Falafel, along with Artichoke Pizza, Bleecker Street Pizza, Faiko's Rice Balls, Bantam Bagels, and Molly's Cupcakes are all featured on the Greenwich Village food tour. This one's been around for 50 years, everybody, but if you take it on the Greenwich Village food tour, you'll be at a different location for this one on McDougal Street. So, you're asking where I am. We are at St. Mark's Place in the East Village, and we're walking out towards a street that is not 4th Avenue, but turns into 4th Avenue, just to give you perspective. Oh, I apologize. No, actually 3rd Avenue, which is right next to 4th Avenue. Whoopsie daisy, little tour guide mistake. In this location, at one point in time, was the Electric Circus. At another point in time, Andy Warhol's amazing exploding plastic factory. What a title, Andy Warhol. Very eccentric character. St. Mark's Place is, of course, named after St. Mark's Church, which we saw earlier where Peter Stuyvesant was buried. And St. Mark's Place, I should mention, It is just 8th Street. You go south 1 block, you'll have 7th Street. North 1 block, you'll have 9th Street. It's just 3 blocks of 8th Street between 3rd Avenue and Avenue A. But by getting that name, it's got plenty of character. And the character speaks for itself. Let's slow down. Number 12, St. Mark's Place. So let's look up. You can see the German lettering. Not just Little Ukraine, but also at one point it was Little Germany. Little Germany, which had the 3rd largest population of Germans out of any city in the world, including those in Germany. Now the Germans were very much all throughout here in the late 1800s, all the way up to about 1905. And the reason they left in 1905, everybody, is because of the General Slocum disaster. General Slocum is the name of a Civil War general. This is the boat that was named after him. The general himself has no involvement here. Unfortunately, caught fire in the East River. The boat captain made the decision, you can decide for yourself if it was a good idea or a bad idea, rather than docking the boat in the harbor where he saw oil tankers. Think about that, a boat on fire, oil tankers might not be a good idea. He instead chose to go up north on our East River to North Brother Island. By the time he had made it there, 1,005 people died, only about 300 survivors. The captain was among the survivors. It was mostly women and children. Very few men were attending this field trip out to Long Island because they were working that day. Such a terrible, terrible tragedy. Without a doubt, the worst tragedy in New York City until, of course, September 11th. September 11th is a rather sad day in our history, everyone. And a great way to pay tribute is to take our 9/11 memorial tour. You'll get a chance to learn about many of the names that are printed there, but you also do get a sampling of the 9/11 memorial on our downtown Manhattan tour, which we offer most days of the week. Now what you have right here is the Hamilton Holly House. Hamilton Holly House is where Eliza Hamilton, one of the Schuyler sisters, somebody sound off the lyrics in the comments section, one of the Schuyler sisters lived after her husband, Alexander Hamilton, passed away with her 2 adult sons and their families. Now, I'll let what you saw speak for itself. It's an historic location where Alexander Hamilton's family lived. He's the face on the $10 bill. No small character, folks. Now it's got a sign that says Weed World out front. Well, one part of New York City's history leads into another, and that's just the way that it goes. Here we go. The Cooper Union, everyone. Under renovations right now. Architecturally, it's just a brownstone. But this one goes all the way back to the 1850s. Goes all the way back to the 1850s. And in the 1850s, Abraham Lincoln actually gave a speech at this location to the politicians of New York City, encouraging them to support his quest to end slavery, which, as we all know, Honest Abe, our man Uncle Abe, was successful at doing so. Now, that was a speech that Abraham Lincoln gave here. This university was founded, of course, by Peter Cooper, whose statue is coming up. And this university teaches you art, architecture, and engineering. The tuition is completely free, well, at least it was until 2009, at which point tuition became 50% scholarship, or $50,000 per year. If you're wondering what caused the tuition to become so high, might have something to do with what happened 1 year earlier. This brand new piece of architecture, an International Style 3 piece of architecture the second campus of Cooper Union. 9-story building, but obviously not cheap. That could cause tuition to cost a little bit more money, everybody. Thankfully, however, Cooper Union has made the promise to return to full scholarship by the year 2030. So if you get accepted, just defer by 8 years. Hey, Nirma, I'm sorry about that. That was Cooper Union. Cooper Union. Named after and founded by Mr. Peter Cooper. Sorry about the audio, everybody. Now, we're getting to another location that you will love if you take on my East Village food tour. We've got a place right here called Morleys Old Ale House. Now listen here. There's a sign out front that says established 1854. However, both the New Yorker and the New York Times have found no evidence of the business's existence before 1857. They could actually be off by about 3 years. Uh-oh. But we won't say that if we go inside, and we will go inside. If you take my East Village food tour, you get to choose 2 beers, light or dark. And what a great time you will have, everybody. There's sawdust on the floor. That was an old tradition at the butcher shops. Hey, Nirma, I don't think they have ice cream inside of there. They do have the original Coney Island dog. They have the official recipe. And that's older than Nathan's, by the way. I don't think they have ice cream inside of there, but we'll get you some ice cream if you take the East Village food tour. Trust me, you can either get dessert dumplings at Brooklyn Dumpling towards the end, or you can get any dessert at Veniero's Bakery at the end, which is where today's live stream started. Now, I want to get nice and close. There's a little bit of sawdust on the ground coming out. Now, the purpose of this sawdust, everybody, at the old butcher shops, that was to absorb all the grease and the fat and the blood that would come off the animals as they would butcher them. Now, no animals getting butchered back there, but actually, that sawdust was part of a tradition to be put into the ale houses. It would absorb all the beer as it would hit the ground. Really cool piece of history. You step into a time capsule when you take the East Village food tour. But you know, we can take you into a time capsule on any one of our tours at any one of our locations. I actually took a tour with Free Tours by Foot London. Got to meet my British counterparts. Top of the morning to you. Okay, that's Irish. Stupid of me. Got to meet my British counterparts when I went out there. You can take a Jack the Ripper tour. Oh my goodness, was that detailed. Or you can take any one of their other tours. It's a global company, so make sure to visit every location. Now, we have St. George's Ukrainian Catholic Church over here. Somebody remarked the last time I gave this tour, that it looked Orthodox in architecture. And that's interesting. It was originally a Methodist church, going back to the year 1911. And it was purchased by St. George's, and they turned it into a Catholic church, so that might be why the architecture has a bit more of a Byzantine feel to it. Now, how do you know that architecture is Byzantine? Well, Byzantine, if you will. You'll notice it has somewhat Roman look towards the bottom. The columns are neither Doric, Corinthian, or Ionic, actually. But as you get to the dome towards the top, that's your little giveaway. Slight Roman architecture. Byzantine is the Roman that departs from the Roman, if you will. We're going to finish this tour, unless if I get any requests in the comments down below, which I would love to hear. That's Chrycha's Ukrainian Kitchen, which is actually the first stop on the East Village food tour. Can you guys see it? No, I don't think you can. And that's because Chrycha's Ukrainian Kitchen, it's not an actual restaurant. It's actually just the kitchen for the church across the street. And that's one of the reasons why their prices are so cheap. Folks, borscht pierogies, cabbage rolls. When I first heard about a cabbage roll, I said, okay, who's gonna want to eat this? A cabbage roll sounds like something Grandma would make me as a punishment. Okay, then I tried the cabbage roll. It is cabbage, boiled in tomato sauce, wrapped around minced pork and rice. It's a shame it's the first item on the tour, because it might be your favorite. Of course, then again, we followed up with beer, pizza, dumplings, and dessert, so if it's not your favorite, we'll find another favorite for you by the time the tour is over. Folks, this is Grisha's Ukrainian Kitchen, and something that a lot of Ukrainians have put all throughout Little Ukraine, I just wanted to cover one of them today, are World War II memorials. To honor the brave men of this block who loyally served their country in World War II. And you can see far more than 100 names here, erected by their grateful neighbors. So just to give you perspective, it's one end of the block, and you can make out the 2nd Avenue Church that burnt down just down the street to give you perspective on how far we've gone. And you can look down to the other end where we came from. Not a very big block, but over 100 men on this block served in World War II. God bless those men. God bless America and God bless the world in these trying times, you know? Well, folks, we're about ready to wrap it up. Check the comments to see if there's any more questions that you guys have for me, but if not, we'll be saying goodbye soon. Free Tours by Foot is back and open for business, as is New York City. No more mask mandates, no more vaccine mandates. Free to come and go wherever you want as you please, just like New York City should be. You are all welcome to come here and join us and have a great time, and we really want you to come because we love having guests. And that's actually the saddest part about all of this, everyone. We lost so many of you. We miss so many of you from coming out to visit us these past 2 years, and we just can't wait to see you again. So, as you're booking that flight, and you're thinking about which of our delicious food tours you're going to take, or perhaps any of our historical walking tours, I'd like to mention that on Wednesdays, I'll be offering the Brooklyn Bridge, Brooklyn Heights Dumbo tour, which I think is visually the most beautiful tour we offer with the company. Now, if you can't take it with me on Wednesday, no need to worry, Philip. I can't wait to see you in November. Philip, give me a high five as soon as you see me, all right? And if you can't take it with me on Wednesday, that's okay, because really, just our best guides do that one. It is probably the best tour we offer with the company. No food on that tour, but that's okay, because you're going to end near a lot of great food. Another tour I'll be offering on Tuesdays is the Downtown Manhattan tour. That'll include a little bit of the 9/11 Memorial, as well as Wall Street, Broadway, City Hall Park, and a little bit of Soho, Little Italy, and Chinatown. But if you want to see those 3 neighborhoods in more detail, just take the tour that's called Soho, Little Italy, Chinatown, or maybe Mondays and Thursdays take Cassie's I don't know the name of our own tours. So Chinatown, Nolita, Little Italy food tour with Cassie's on Monday and Thursdays. I believe Lori is bringing back the Greenwich Village Chelsea Highline tour. Wow, is that one a walk? And boy, oh boy, the appearance is diverse. I wanted to finish over here. You can actually see a classic video game store across the street. This is a store. It doesn't just sell any video games. You can get video games for the Sega Genesis, the Nintendo 64, all of the classic consoles. Okay, I'm done nerding out for now, everybody. So this is it. This is where we finish our tour. Hope you guys had a great time today. And just a reminder, we really can't wait for you to book that tour with Free Tours by Foot. Book that flight now. Book your tour second. We can't wait to see you. And if you get any one of our guides, especially me, make sure you say hi, because we love it when the people from our live streams come out to visit us. Thanks again, guys, and have a great day.